Hello there, and welcome to another What If adventure, where today we will journey to a galaxy far, far away, in a time where Kenobi accepted the Death Sticks. As it is now April Fool's today, I thought it the perfect time to explore this story, so sit back and enjoy the video. She went into the club, Master, as Kenobi reminds his Padawan to use his patience, for the hunted are hiding rather than running. He hands Anakin back his lightsaber and they enter the bar. Looking around at the many different species that now surround them, Obi-Wan has no leads, but Anakin has sensed they are looking for a female changeling. Whilst Anakin begins to circle the large room of citizens in a search, who all seem to be letting loose after another hard day of politics, Kenobi decides to join the crowd and heads towards the bar for a drink. As he is taking shots of blue liquid tasting nothing like what they have back at the temple, Ellen, who offers him some death sticks. Death sticks are a highly addictive drug, traded plenty among the lowlife of Coruscant. They'd been in circulation for the last 100 years or so, and Kenobi knew what happened to the last Jedi who had taken them. Nonetheless, a few couldn't hurt to ease his stress with the Republic's politics, with the Jedi becoming more involved in the primitive discussions more and more as tensions with the Separatists continued. Credits were of no value to Kenobi, as even the Jedi Code states Jedi are forbidden to form attachments, so trading a few for this release would do Kenobi well. He held out his hand that once held credits, and before he knew it was filled with a handful of these little red and yellow tubes, Ellen grinning from ear to ear. The glowing substance felt familiar to Kenobi as it trickled down his throat, almost like an old friend reacquainted after a long period apart. Kenobi had had no history with this substance, but it felt to him now just as natural as it did to connect with the Force, removing any of his doubts almost instantly. The Force. As Kenobi turned to find Ellen, he was met with another hand filled of these illicit wonders. "You want to sell me more death sticks?" "I do want to sell you more death sticks." He was unsure if his mind trick was even working, but did not dwell on this long enough to be sure. He gave up his last credits for the release only found in these death sticks, better than the meditation he was taught by his late master. He pocketed the new sticks for later and began to spiral. His master? Was it his fault his master, Qui-Gon, could not be here today? Had he got there in time, could he have saved him? Unknowingly to Kenobi, he had become the prey, and this shapeshifter had snuck up on him, knowing that she may catch him with his guard down. Anakin, however, had other plans. He had her arm sliced clean off, the one holding her blaster at the ready, and has his saber now positioned across the front of her neck. He looked at Kenobi, confused as he had not seen his master like this, but kept his main focus on the one that had just tried to murder his love. Anakin escorts Zam Wesell outside the bar as she reveals she does have a name, and with a half-dazed Kenobi is led down the closest alley so Anakin can find out who set her up to this. Obi-Wan begins to wander and finds himself down the next alley, sitting on the floor recovering from the trip he'd just taken himself on, all taking place on the same bar stool. Out of nowhere, a Mandalorian bounty hunter pushes past Kenobi and disappears around the corner. Moments later, Kenobi's met with a flustered Anakin who lifts him off the ground as he reveals what has just happened to their only evidence. Anakin didn't see who it was, but has retrieved a dart from the corpse, and Kenobi knows where to go to identify it. Returning to the council, it is decided that Anakin will remain with Padme, as it is Kenobi's task to find out who this dart belongs to. En route to Dexter's diner, he passes his quarters and picks up a few of the death sticks that he purchased earlier. His frustrations with the Order grow, with all the pressure from the older masters on training the perfect chosen one, yet they are constantly separated where other Jedi could be brought in to complete their missions. Kenobi feels that the Council is abusing their chosen one, as one could abuse the powers that come with becoming Chancellor. Keep your mind in the here and now. With his master's words still somehow fresh in his memory, he listens to Jin and moves on with their mission. This time he is taken to Kamino, a planet that is not meant to exist according to the Jedi archives, and yet he sees it with his own eyes. He was earlier warned about the arrogance of the older masters, but what arrogance allows a whole planet and what should be the known system to just vanish right in front of the Order? Only the higher masters have access to the archives, and Kenobi has his doubts, but now is not the time for the debate. he has to find the origin of this dart. Slipping a death stick out of his pocket, he relaxes himself before entering. "Master Jedi, the Prime Minister is expecting you." Confused, Kenobi is unable to muster any words for this creature before him, and he just nods, proceeding to follow. It is here he finds out about a clone army that is being made for the Republic, of 200,000 units ready, with 1,000,000 more well on the way. He is confused, but in hearing an old master of the Order, Sifo Dyas, who died almost 10 years ago, he realises that this has been a plan long carried out by the higher members of the Order, and as only a knight, he would not have been kept in the loop of this information. It appears that this is the work of the High Council, but Kenobi must find out what this army is for. Why would a group of protectors be making an army unless to become the attackers? Kenobi, the death sticks wearing off now, asks enough questions to find out that the army is for the Republic, with no information whether it is attacking or defending the Senate, and follows Prime Minister to look at this army in its might. Clones. Hundreds and thousands of clones. To his surprise, Obi-Wan is impressed that the Jedi could have hidden this secret for so long, and that the Republic has no idea of the army amassing so close to its borders. The build-up to the Clone Wars and the next few years remain as we saw them on screen for the most part. However, when Anakin would run off to spend time with Padme, his wife, Kenobi would travel to the underworld of Coruscant, trading his credits for any death sticks he could get his hands on. As Kenobi was not there to hold Anakin back when battling on the front lines, and he himself would bend the rules more in order to finish the conflict sooner, the war would have ended much earlier, Kenobi's addiction getting stronger with each high. We return to our story when Anakin is sent to spy on the Chancellor during the events of Revenge of the Sith. He confesses his doubts about the Council where, to his surprise, Kenobi agrees. Obi-Wan has been looking into the Council's doing, and now both having a seat on the Council, he expects them to be drawn into the plans at any moment. While Anakin is talking with the Chancellor, Kenobi was planning on going down to the restricted section of the archives and putting his master's rank into use. The Force, he thought, had other plans. He was drawn to his chambers, the voice of his master calling to him as if it were his fate, his destiny. It was not the Force, nor his master. The drawer filled with death sticks shone brighter than anything else, his room filled with a temptation that he was not strong enough to resist. He took one, then another, and before he knew it, he had only half left, and his quarters, well, what left that he could see, began to disappear, and someone else in the distance began walking towards him. Keep your mind in the here and now, where it belongs. His master would always talk to him in these such visions. It was a way to hold on to the things that he had lost. Qui-Gon would always tell Kenobi that it wasn't attachment that was the problem with the Order, but the fear of loss itself. If Kenobi could bring back his master, even Satine, in these visions, this experience, then what would he have to fear to lose? No one's ever truly gone. He was awoke by the sound of his comlink. Kenobi, with a mild headache, stumbling on the floor, answers. Grievous has been found. This could end the war. He could end the war. He gets in his ship straight away and travels to Utapau with a legion of clone troopers. There he is able to defeat the general and leaves the planet in Grievous's ship to return news to the Council and, more importantly, return to his death sticks. He sees the action on the planet below stop, and in an instant all blasts are directed towards him. It is now the clones firing at him as the droids try to take out as many as they can. Which side was he on? Is this another vision, perhaps? Commander Cody, come in. It is I in Grievous' ship. Tell your men to hold fire. Good soldiers follow orders. He returns to Coruscant with haste to inform the Council, but as he arrives, he sees the Jedi Temple up in flames. He meets Yoda en route, and they both search the temple during a Senate meeting as to not get caught. It is here that he sends his message to the galaxy, giving hope to those that remain, but on the way out there is something he must know. Anakin, he now knows the truth. It can't be. Kenobi leaves, promising Yoda to kill his apprentice, but first he wants to find out why this has happened. Arriving at Padmé's apartment, he senses the disturbance within her, the worry, the anxiety. She refuses to tell Kenobi where her husband has gone, but he already has seen it. She can't stop thinking about him, the same feeling he saw in Anakin whilst fighting alongside his brother. He informs her that the Jedi might be of evil, of their plot to overthrow the Senate. This is what Anakin has been talking about. They both board her ship with 3PO and leave for Mustafar. Arriving on the planet, Anakin is filled with rage, a broken boy so far from the one he wished to be those many years ago on Tatooine. Padmé runs out, and after a touching reunion, he notices his old master standing at the top of the rank. "You brought him here to kill me." He proceeds to choke the one he's meaning to protect all this time. "Let her go, Anakin." This is not the person he had fought besides. Something's changed, and Kenobi is unsure as to his Padawan's true intentions. Anakin stops, right before Padmé was choked out, but he could still feel her, still see her in the Force. She lives. "I won't lose her the way I lost my mother. I can't fail her like I failed Ahsoka." "You have done that yourself." Kenobi knows how Anakin is feeling, and through the tension both master and apprentice can sense a similar feeling in each other. Anakin's attachment to Padmé mirrors Kenobi's attachment to the Death Sticks. Both addicted to the feeling of each attachment, are unable to live without it. Anakin begins to pace the floor. Kenobi is reminded of his first encounter with a Sith, and how Maul did the same when waiting to attack. He remembers seeing a cloaked figure in the hologram, similar to the Chancellor. Could it be? "You have allowed this Dark Lord to twist your mind until you have become the very thing you swore to destroy." "I do not fear the dark side as you do." Anakin begins to explain how he acts to protect his empire and has restored peace by killing all the Jedi and all the Separatists. Kenobi is still loyal to the Republic, however, and needs to know why the Jedi had to go. They were meant to be protectors of the galaxy, the peacekeepers, and yet wherever they went was only met with chaos. More than this, Kenobi knows how Anakin truly feels. The Death Sticks have kept him going through this hard time, and it's the attachment from both that has led them to finish this war sooner than anyone could have anticipated. "From my point of view, the Jedi are evil." Kenobi agrees with his Padawan, for the first time in a while in fact. But he agrees. The Jedi are not peacekeepers. Which peacekeepers build a hidden army for decades, or sit back as their order is reduced to the masters sitting talking about politics? It is as if the Death Sticks have opened his mind. "I have sensed the plot for a long time, my apprentice. There are things the Council were not telling us." Anakin explains that he no longer identifies with the Order, and that he has a new master now, one much wiser, older, and more powerful, that can save his wife from dying. Kenobi remembers when he was a Padawan the few Jedi healers that remained in the temple. There hadn't been any since the war. With the ability so lost and forgotten, and with the Order stretched across the universe, there was never enough time and resources to reintroduce it to the temple's curriculum. It was an ability of the old Jedi, but one they were sure would be in the restricted sections of the archives. Both looking up, they sensed a dark presence arriving, both now knowing who the Sith Lord is. Anakin's Force sensitivity was enough to block Palpatine from sensing Kenobi, as his midichlorian level was so high it shrouded the entire planet. On arrival, the new Emperor was happy to see his apprentice, but noticed as another Jedi stepped out, standing next to Anakin as they both ignited their blue blades. Palpatine was worried, perhaps for the first time, as he knew he was no match for the Chosen One. Kenobi he could deal with, but with all these years manipulating the boy, twisting his view, wasted? Surely not. His attempt to be diplomatic was futile, as Anakin reached out with his anger, testing his new abilities, and zapped a powerful bolt of energy across the floor directly to the path of Sheath. Using the Force, he effortlessly was able to move both troopers from his side in front of him, protecting himself from the blast of lightning Anakin had just shot. It was here he knew he couldn't leave with his life, or rather, he couldn't leave with his body. For these last few years, Palpatine had been trying to create the perfect clone of himself, one that would allow him to live forever, having mastered the ability to transfer his essence between clones if a vessel were to get damaged. But he had yet to master these clones, not yet being able to use the Force outside of a body of his own. Palpatine charges the Jedi with one final attempt of battle, one last strike from the Sith Lord in his own body, and with a flash of blue, he was no more, reduced to a wrinkled mess of flesh and blood soaking into his dark robes. The galaxy was free, or at least for the time being. Kenobi and Anakin would board the Emperor's shuttle, where a life support system was ready, waiting. They lifted Padme onto the bed and prepared the shuttle for Coruscant. On arrival, Kenobi, now sober, managed to use his mind tricks to convince the troopers to allow them access to the temple, where Padme was suspended in one of the Bacta tanks kept in the Jedi Temple. While medical droids tended to what they could, Anakin joined Kenobi searching the archives for this old ability, Force Healing. They found it on the library computers, but there was nothing online, only the name of a book, a physical book, kept behind the reach of most Jedi. Busting through the door of the vault that few Jedi Masters had access to, walking past all the Sith artifacts that the Jedi hid from view, they found it. Hiding in the stump of an old tree was a single book covered in years of dust and runes of old. This must have been it. Anakin and Kenobi would both learn of this ability and would promise to teach it to their students when the time came to build a new order of the Force. This order would not worship Sith or Jedi ideals, but would focus on the will of the Force, a balanced order. With light there is dark, and light again to meet it. Both Jedi are calmed by the droids to explain how Padme is given birth, and upon arrival all seems to be well. Her report came in with no problems, however, for reasons unknown to everyone in the room, she appeared to be losing the will to live. Only their new powers can save her. She must know that Anakin has not taken the dark path tempted before him. He only did what he could to save her. Kenobi pulls his hand out of his pocket. He is not innocent in this story either. He takes to the last of his death sticks and walks up to the bed Padme is laying on, resting a hand on her forehead. Master? Anakin doesn't yet realise what is about to happen, but as he watches his two children being born, he notices Padme is beginning to regain consciousness. Annie? Anakin comforts her and apologises for his mistakes back on Mustafar. Padme doesn't care. She is so in love with him. They are so in love with each other. Love has indeed made them blind. All they care about is that they are both okay. Master Obi-Wan! Anakin notices his master is no longer standing at the opposite side of the bed and is now laying collapsed on the floor. Anakin rushes over to catch his final words, tearing up as he doesn't want to lose his brother. Anakin, you must train your children. Teach them everything we have learnt. You are the chosen one. And with that, Anakin became the last Jedi. No, he was no longer a Jedi, nor was he a Sith. He was a Skywalker, and with that, the Skywalkers became the protectors of the galaxy. Thank you for watching another What If video, and I really enjoy making these fanfiction stories, so let me know if you have any ideas you want to hear from a certain point of view in the comments below. If you made it to the end of the video, do be sure to drop a like, and may the Force be with you always. Remember,
if one is to understand the great mystery, one must study all its aspects, not just the dogmatic narrow view of the Jedi.